All right, welcome. The recording is on, so I want to welcome each of you guys to the first ever um, office hours for Copywriter Brain. It's going to be a pretty small group as I kind of expected, but I think we all got to start somewhere. So I feel kind of cool that we're getting started with the people that are here, and that all of you that are on now are kind of in the early stages. And cool part is that you guys all have lifetime access to the program. So as it gets more improved and advances and all that stuff, we'll continue to create those. Thank you, Nick. I'm glad that you're enjoying the course. I will say that's been probably my favorite thing, is I've heard just such great feedback, and that for me has been really cool. Like, that's more what I am in it for. I actually do pretty well in my real life, so I don't. This isn't like a thing for me just to make extra cash. I actually just enjoy it. I love to help people that are trying to write ads, and so that's a big part of my focus. Obviously, you want to make sales and earn some income and make sure that the time you put in is well spent. But for me, getting the feedback like that is why I keep up uh, with this entire thing. So I'm going to quickly run through a few points, and then we'll get going. So let me start my screen share. So this is going to be, I just prepared a quick thing we're going to just run through. Um, all right. Okay. So this is, the office hours. This is January 5th, 2021. So I didn't get a lot of questions in yet. I hope that when we do this again, there'll be more. I will be turning on ads soon. So I think once I get ads on, we'll be able to get more people in and more people joining. I will give a couple quick updates. So far, we've sold 40 people into the program, which is way more than I was expecting. To be honest, I only had an email database of about 100 people. So it was very cool to be able to see 40 people join. And this month, by the end of the month, I'll be turning on ads. And when I do that, I expect they'll be adding a lot more people. We also created the new community. So if you haven't joined that yet, make sure you do. That's copywriterbrain.com/community. So, I think it's a cool thing. I think we're gonna build out. We're gonna build something very cool here, and I think we'll just keep at it as we go. All right, so let's just kind of run through. I want to run through a big thing that I see people always struggling with, right? There's always a big question of, like, what do you research, or what are the main things that you should research on? And of course, in the course, I go through it, way more. But what I want to go over here is kind of the four P's, and I actually have a 12P formula that I'm going to turn into its own kind of course at some point. But the main things that you want to really dive in on are people, product, problem, and promise. Okay, so if you think about these four things, if you know these four things extremely uh, well, the odds are that you'll write a really good sales piece. Okay, and this could be a sales email, it could be a Facebook ad, it could be a full-blown sales page, like whatever it is. The more you know these four things, the better your results will be. And let's go over each one. So when it comes to people, like, what does that mean? So there's different things, but the main idea with this is avatar, right? Like, who are you speaking to? Now, myself, I've never been great at the whole building an avatar out, where you sit there and you fill out the forms and you write it down and you're like, oh, he's a 25-year-old male from Texas who likes to go shopping on Sundays. I feel like that's good, but I feel like it's kind of tough to do. You know what I mean? Like, it's not a natural thing. What I've always found that's done the best for me is that I look for someone that I know, or someone that's like famous or something, that looks and acts and talks like the person that I'm trying to sell to. So, for example, for years and years, I worked in an industry where we would sell like businesses for people that are just getting started. And I'm burned out on that now. I don't ever want to go back to that. But my aunt was like the perfect person for that. Like, cause she would always, when I was like 12, she would bring me to like seminars, and I would go to these like, earn income kind of seminars. And so I knew that she was the audience. So I would always be able to kind of write as if I was going to write to her. So even sometimes I would even write to her. I would say Aunt Carolyn, and I would write out what I'm going to say. And I always thought if I didn't say it in a way that she could understand, then I knew I wasn't speaking to the right audience. And to be honest, those emails that I wrote to myself under her, the idea of it being for her went on to make millions, because I was doing a good job of understanding who the audience was. Um, More than that, so there's the idea of the people and who they are. So yes, you can create an avatar, and I think you should. Even if you don't use it like all the time, the exercise is good because it makes you think. And then also you'll find also you'll find also that often you'll have multiple avatars. So you'll have multiple people that might be a fit for your product, right? So what you want to do is create an avatar for each of those multiple types of people. So it could be, it. So I'm sure I'm bad at coming up with things on the spot, but let's say you're gonna sell. I just saw this. There's a company, and they sell like a flagpole holder that goes on the back of a pickup truck. And they always thought that their core audience was like football fans. So they always thought, okay, I'm going to sell it to like people that want to fly their sports team. And they struggled though, and they could not understand why were they struggling. And it turns out that they had a huge increase in sales like in the summer months. And like, that's weird because football is in the fall. Why are these things, why do we sell more in the summer? And they finally figured out that their true avatar, the person that was buying it, was like a 25 to 50-year-old, like patriotic male. And they were flying US flags in their pickup truck. And that was the audience, right? So once they figured that out, they still had their audience of like sports fans, but then they were able to start gearing up their ads to speak to that American patriot male, and say, hey, do you love your country? And you're going to love this flag, and there's a whole big thing. And they actually ran YouTube ads and crushed it. Just, I mean, went way up in sales because they started speaking to the right avatar. So that's one more point too that you want to think about is it's not just understanding who the person is, but I think more importantly is understanding how they talk, because that's the big key. When you can use the same words that they use, that's when you're going to connect with them in a way that they probably haven't been talked to before. There's a famous copy saying that's like, enter the conversation that's already happening in their head. And you do that by speaking like them. So we talked about this in the course, but you can get in there and you can go to sites like Reddit and Facebook and forums and all those things. And you want to look for the, the way that they talk and what they talk about, because that's way more important. Your best research, your best ideas, your best hooks, your best headlines should ultimately come from the mouth of other people that are the people that you want to sell to. That's who you should be going after. All right. So next up, we have product. And this one's pretty self-explanatory. I won't spend as much time on it, but you want to make sure that you know your product better than anyone else, because oftentimes copywriters especially can figure out how to re-angle a product to fit into someone else's niche, or into someone else, into a different audience, right? So sometimes the same product can be used in multiple ways, just like we said with the whole flagpole. So you want to make sure that you dig in on the product, make sure you understand it. And there's so many components of what makes up the product. So there's what the product is, there's what the product does, there's how much it costs, there's like the tangible parts of a product. Is it physical product? Is it digital? There's all those things, right? So you want to make sure you know all that. And a lot of that research should come to you by way of the company that you're either going to write for, or the company that you own if you're the owner. So again, we can ask questions on that, but let's keep going on here. So next we have problem, and this is the big one. This is the one that if you get and it's tough because they're all very important, but I would almost rank problem first, in the sense that that's going to be the thing that makes people pay attention. That's going to be the thing that draws them in. And when we talk about problem, we're talking about what is it that we're trying to solve, right? People only buy products because they're solving a problem. Even if it's a Rolex watch, and you could think, well, that's well beyond solving the time problem, right? But what it's not beyond is solving the status problem. So people buy a Rolex because they want status. So their problem is, I need more status. Either they don't feel good about themselves, or they want to show off, or they feel very good about themselves and they want to show off, right? It could be all those things, but you want to make sure that you hone in on what the real problem is. And here's like a big one that, and I personally, this is what I don't like about the copywriting, industry, but it's just the way it is because we're dealing with people. Many times it's not the problem that we see on the surface. It's a deeper problem. And so our job is to really figure that out. Because when you can talk to what that deeper problem is, then you're, again, like we said, you're speaking their language. So you want to make sure that you go in and you really figure out what that problem is. A great way to uncover problems is with surveys and with phone calls. And start to try to get them to explain why they bought this. Like, why did you buy this thing? What was it about this that made you need it, and how do you use it? There's a famous story about the people that invented like the squeegee mop. I don't know if you guys have ever seen that, but they came up with that because they invited all of these stay-at-home moms to come in and mop, and they wanted to watch them and see how they performed it. And they noticed so many times that they would have to like mop some, bend down, squeeze it out, and they saw that they spent all this time on it. And the crazy thing is, not a single mom pointed that out and said that was a problem, because they couldn't even picture a world where that didn't exist. But by watching it, they were like, wow, they were like, what if we created a mop and you could just kind of twist it and it would drain the mop out for you? So a big thing about problems is that sometimes they're not even aware of what the real problem is. So I've seen this before where you do surveys and the responses all are the same, but you try it and it doesn't work. And that's because they're not actually getting to the truth, either because they're too embarrassed to explain it, or they just don't know. They're unaware. So you want to make sure that you dig in deep, ask tough questions, and you may even want to throw in like 3 or 4 easy questions to get them talking, and then throw in that tough one, and then kind of but dig in more and say, is that really what you think? Is there anything else? What else? Or if you want to give them an easy out, say, well, what have you heard others say? Because then they're free to say it what they want to say, where they can say it was from somebody else. All right. And number 4, promise. And promise is just, I say that word because it's a P word, but you could also think of it as benefits, right? What are the benefits that your product is going to provide people? And a big piece to this whole thing when you're talking about a promise is, it's not just about what can your product do for them, right? Because that's all kind of the same, right? If you sell a mop, it's going to clean the floors, right? That's what the product does. But then you have to also think like, what does a product do for them? What is the benefit beyond the tactical benefit? So mop wise, you could say it'll save them time, it'll save them strain and effort, and then even take it a next step. And this is what Victor Schwab, I believe his name is, he called this giving your product wings, and that is take the benefits and put them into action. So use an action word so the person feels like they're experiencing that product. An example would be, going back to the squeegee mop. You could say, with the squeegee mop, yes, you'll get clean floors, but you'll also save yourself a ton of time, a ton of stress, a ton of strain, so that, and this is a big key, that forces your brain to think of what the next step benefit is, so that you can get more done in less time, spend more time with your family, and not get so mad when your kid spills something, because now you can get it fixed real easy. And then here's where we give it wings. We come up with an imagine statement. So you say, imagine how you'll feel when your kid knocks over their juice, and you can almost laugh because in 20 seconds it can be cleaned up. You didn't have to get your hands dirty, you didn't have to touch anything. That is how powerful can be. So you can see there that we're putting them into a mind state. We're asking them to imagine something, and then from that point, we're trying to say, we're giving them an experience that they can then come back from. All right. All right. I'm going to check my chats real quick here. Yeah. All right. All right. So just making sure there was nothing for me. All right. Cool. I like to see that you guys are in there chatting. That's cool. All right. So I want to go over meta. One quick thing. For any of you guys that want to get better at the skill of copy, I have a site up. This is the link. It's onlyonemike.com/copywriting-exercises. And on that page, there are 21 different things that you can do to improve and become a better copywriter. It's actually probably my most popular blog post ever, and it gets about 1,000 people each month that go there. So if you wanted to, I would say go check it out. It's all free and stuff. But I think it's very. Someone asked me how, because I think it's about 7 or 8,000 words, and someone asked me how long did it take me to write it, and the answer was it took me about probably 8 or 10 hours, but about 15 years before that, because I had to learn so much to get to that point. All right, so make sure you check that out. And then now we're going to talk about Rome real quick, and just going to run over a few quick things. So I want to show you guys metadata, habits, and templates. And I'll take this one out. And we'll just kind of go through those really fast. And in case you guys haven't got in here yet, you definitely want to, once you get going into the course, when I say so in the course, go ahead and create your free trial. I think you get 2 weeks. So this is my sort of like private one that I use for anybody that joins the VIP. They get access to this. So I want to quickly pull up metadata if I can. Yeah, so here it is. All right, so you can see here that there's all these different things that we have. So just to kind of make sure you understand, metadata is data about data, right? So whenever, if you ever have been able to download a podcast, right? For example, when you download a podcast, it'll come with some data, like what year was it published, what date, what's the name of the podcast, what's the name of the speakers. And you can see, if I open up, for example, podcast, you can see here, these are some of the things that you could fill out. So you have the show name, you have who are the speakers, and then you can even put a status. Is it complete? Is it, you choose what status. these are just examples, but you can choose whichever ones you wanted to for that. Then there's topic. So this would be like, what is it about? And then tags, which if you've gone through my course, I talk about tags a lot, but tags are how you search. And that's how you find things again in the future. So you want to make sure that you tag it properly, but don't just tag it as to what it is, tag it to how you think you'll discover it in the future. That's a big piece there. And then here you can put where the actual podcast is from, like the link. And then for summary, what I do is I hit enter and I tab over. And then as I'm playing the podcast, I'll type things in here like note one goes here. If there's a subnote, goes here. And I hit enter twice, a new idea here. So you want to kind of make sure that you indent properly. So I'll take that out for now so I don't break anything. But anyway, these are all of the different types of things that we have. So we have the dailies. This is what I use every day when I start a brand new day. And then there's, of course, projects. So again, these are all the things that you want to fill out so you can keep better track of how you run. Now, under the copy side, these are almost like all your different pieces of copy. And that's what's changed it for me and the people that I've shown this to is if you start creating like what I call copy blocks, you can start to drag and drop these things in to your actual sales pieces. So you can go over audiences. And again, you could just pull these out and you could just fill these all out. And once you fill them out, you can always open them up in the sidebar. So I go over here, let's just do this. And you can see whatever you have is right here. And you can start dragging and dropping things into your sales piece. So, and if you can right click it, you can actually copy it and reference it. So I can see now I've done the right click, copy that. So if I go back to the main page, I can then paste the code, which references back to this. So there it is. Now I've got that. And if you ever click on it, you can take it back to where you were. You can open it to the sidebar. The other thing that you can do, which I think is good, if you're gonna, so let's say that this was a bunch of research that you want to fix. You want to add it. You want to add to it, and you want to edit it. Well, you can't if you copied it as a reference. You can't just do that. So what you want to do is you want to do a click and replace it with text and alias. And you'll see what that did. The text is now, you can now go in here, you can edit this and change it, but also you can see that the link to where it came from is still here, right? So, and here's the thing too, you can get rid of the star. You could change this to say original source here. So now watch. So there it is. So that way you can jump back. So you can go in and edit this. This is the direct approach to lead with the product or a discount. Say I want to fix that to or price, whatever. I can fix that, but I can always jump back and see what the original was. And I can see anytime I've ever referenced that original piece. So again, there's a lot here. One small thing, if you do get access to this, you can see this is my blog post to the copywriting exercises. One thing that I didn't go over here as much, but I'm going to pull it up and give me 1 second. I think it's on my yeah. So let me pull this up. I just wrote this the other day, and it's done well. If I can get to it, hang on. There we go. All right. So this is habit tracking. So a lot of people of course, this is January, so it's a big time of year where people want to change and do all this stuff. Well, a big key to that is you want to get better with tracking habits, because that's truly the way that you're going to change. If you say I'm going to do X, well, how do you know unless you track it? So I've got a small strategy that I use to track things inside Rome. So I'm going to show you real quick what that is. So just a small thing for me, some of the things that I track. I'm on a testosterone treatment, so I have to track that, and this is all part of that. Then I also track dieting. Do I step, and then in this link too, I link to all the things that I use. I try to track these things, and I try to set them so they're done either every day, every 2 or 3 days, once a week. But what I end up with ultimately, you can always go watch it too. Here's the page there, so you can see it inside of Rome. I'll send this out too, but this is what it ends up being like when it's all said and done. I'm just going to jump to the end. You can see it looks like this. So you have your supplements, you have the day of the week. Yeah, let me link this right now in the chat. Here you go. But I'm going to put the link in the chat right now, so you've got it there. Let me admit. All right. So, yep, you're welcome. All right. So you can see the way that it looks. And then the next step is you go in and you create like a to-do box. And then it looks like this. It inserts the to-dos in there. So every day of the week, you can say, did I do my testosterone? Yes, 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 and you can track all that. And this is, if you just copy this will actually create for you, and then you can tweak it to be whatever you would want. So I'm just for your guys' sake, I'll grab it and show you, and I'll paste it in, and I'll walk through it really fast just so you can see it. And this is a lot of code, obviously, but let's jump over to Rome. I'll go back to the blank page, get rid of that. Oops. So I'm going to paste this in. So it looks like it didn't properly come in for me, so that's not good. It worked on my other. I think it's because of there we go. It's slowly getting there. I'll just do a quick sample one then, and I'll have to figure out why that screwed up. If you do like supplements, and then I go over tab, and what you do is you hit /table, hit that, and now you'll see that it started to create this kind of pre-done table. So all you do is you go under it, if I can get there, and hit enter. And then here, you should be able to name it. And you may have to tab this thing over one. Yeah, so that's the key. So you can see that I'm starting to indent this. So if this was something, well, let's do it more fun. Let's just say it was like copy practice. Whatever I put there, that's going to be the title of the thing that we're going to do. So I'll call this copy practice. All right. And then we go here and we can start to put in more things here. So let me just do a quick test here. Thing 1, thing 2. Okay. Yeah. So what you want to do is you want to continue to tab over. And now you're creating the things that you're tracking. See? So the key is you have to keep it going here. But what I do is I do it like this. So for me, I do it like this. So that way the weekdays are above me. They're at the very top. You could do it the other way too, but for me, this is a little bit easier. I'm just going to stop there so I don't go too far. But Now you can see we have copy practice Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. So that is sort of how you do that. That creates the columns across the way. And now we want to create this. So we would say this would be like handwrite. Yes, I will show the code. Handwrite, and then we've got, let's say, read headline, and let's do one more. What is something else we should do every day if we're going to get good at copy? I'll say write headline too. Okay, so those are the three things. You can see now that they appear here. The next strategy that we want to do is we want to get those to do check boxes inside each thing. So to do that, it's actually not too hard. If you go click, and I always have to kind of practice it because it's, you know, it's not a very natural thing right now. But if you go /to do, which you see it there, hit that, and now the box appears there. And there's a cool little trick too. So if now we want to go across the whole way, you have to continue to tab over. So we're going to tab. So I'm going to show you a few different ways. So you can always do /TODO, enter, tab. The other thing that you can do is on your keyboard, if you're on a Mac, it's Command Enter. If you're on a PC, it's Control Enter. If you hit that, it'll just it'll be done for you. It'll be done. So that's how you do that. And the key is always tabbing over. If you don't tab there, you'll get stuck. Once you've done one set of them, you can always copy and then paste it. Paste. And that saves you a ton of time. So that's that. So this is how we would do it. And then what we do is each day we would come in and we would check it. We would just check it. Boom, boom. You know, we did all three. Great job. And we did all three. And if you want to get really fancy, at the end of each week, you could come in and you could give yourself a score. So you could say, I did it 3 out of 5 times, that's 60%. I did it 5 out of 7, that's whatever that is, right? And just so you see it, in case you would like to see the actual code, I'll paste it in the chat. You could always, you know, if you want to be fun, you could actually type that code, but I don't really think you've got to. One other cool thing too about that control or command enter is if you hit it again, it'll actually get rid of it. So if you hit it once, it'll create it. Twice, done. So it'll actually do a done. And 3 times, it's gone. So create, done, gone. So that's a cool, fast way to build that. All right, so we slightly went over metadata. We went over habits. I'll keep this in there for right now so people can, I'll tag it habits. That way people can always find it. If you go down now to templates, this is probably the best thing that you can do because, and here's the thing that I realized when it comes to writing like a sales copy piece is that as you go down the sales page, it actually gets less and less creative. So you want your creativity to be at the very top. That's where you write your headline. That's where you have your lead. But if you think about it, after that, you kind of go into very much a very, very structured way. You're going to go over your sales argument. You're going to go over the benefits. You're going to go over what the product is, what it does for you. Then you're going to go over the offer and what's it going to be and what's it going to cost. And then you're going to go over, is there a guarantee? And you're going to write your close and you're going to have your PS, right? It's very much the same stuff. So, and I want to draw this, but at some point it'll be like this funnel type shape, and it's going to be like creative, 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 not, as you go down. So what this area does though, these templates give you a chance to, and I pulled these off the internet, and I believe I push out so you can go find each one, but these are pre-done kind of template structures, and you can go through each of these and find find one that will do good for you. I like the 7-step one. I think it's cool. It's basically make a promise, expand on that, tell them what they're gonna get, prove it, prove why th- this is real. Um, Tell them why they need to act now. We need urgency of some type. Prepare them for the close by reiterating the benefits and incite action now. Right. So this is a good template if you don't have to, if you're creating for more warmer traffic or people that aren't like um, if they don't have to be sold as hard, right? If you have to sell to cold, my template's pretty good at that, because you've got to pull in all of these people that are coming to you. If they don't know who you are yet, their trust is not there, right? So if they don't trust you, then you're gonna run into problems because they're gonna go, oh, this is not good. So what you got to do is what you lack in trust, you have to almost make up for with curiosity, because they're gonna stay if they're curious about what it is you're gonna say. So I always like to use like a crazy statement or something that just doesn't make sense. Like for example, imagine you're scrolling around and you see an ad and it says something to the effect of trying to lose weight, then you must stop doing cardio now. You'd be like, what in the world? Everything is all about cardio, right? And then you bring them over and you say the cold hard truth, why cardiovascular training may be increasing your fat. And they would be like, what in the world, right? They're shocked. The curiosity is going to pull them in. And then you open up with a great story. I was 30 pounds overweight, even though I jogged every day and I did everything right and I ate good, blah, blah, blah. And then you go into the pain side about it, and it was so hard. And perhaps you've been there like me, like knee pain, joint pain. You go to the doctor and they give you that look of, why can't you just drop 20 pounds, and all this stuff. But the whole entire thing there is, there are a ton of studies now that show that when you're overweight, cardio training can actually increase cortisol, and the cortisol can then increase your storage of fat. So there's a lot of people that are professional joggers that actually have higher fat rates than they should, because it has to do with this whole thing about the idea is, when we run, our bodies think we need to hold on to fat because it thinks we're trying to escape some threat. So the body's thinking, well, if I have to run every day, there must be a threat. If there's a threat, we might not have food. So I better store fat. So if we get lost and we don't have food, I can still survive. So the key is actually to do weight training while you're trying to drop fat, and then you can do cardio, but you shouldn't until you've dropped some of the fat off. Anyway, that's the whole concept. But yeah, you see how that is more interesting. Now, if I was Oprah, I wouldn't have to do all that. I could just say Oprah's plan. What's Oprah gonna do for 2021, because she has trust, she has authority, and that's why we have different types of sales copy. We have some that we can reach out to people that are brand new to us, so they don't have any trust in us, they don't really know anything about us. But then secondly, we've got the more straight up stuff. So like, I think if I were to look, one of these is the Bob Stone to me is more straight up. Here's what I got, here's what it does, here's how to order, right? You know, that's the very straight up stuff. I like Ray. He's got some good stuff too. The person, the problem, the pain, amplify, the story, solution or system, testimonials, offer, CTA, right? That's a pretty good one. Um, and again, if you click on these, you should see anytime that we reference these, you should be able to find them. As time goes on and more people get in, we're adding things too. So I want this to be just like hundreds of different templates to pick from. I would like to create them for YouTube scripts, for Facebook, for all that stuff. And I think if we all pitch in, we can all begin to add these. One that's very good as well is this Perry one. It's 21 steps. And if you just, follow these things, you should be doing pretty good. All right. So let me go back. And so we covered all those things. All right. So that was my sort of planned chat. I want to know if anyone out there has any questions of any sort. You can jump on, or you can type it in the chat. But anything would be great. And okay, so to get access to the graph, send me an email. Email me at mike@copywriterbrain.com and tell me your Rome email address. So whatever email you did with Rome, and then I can add you in right away. So just email me there. Yeah, and again, we'll continue to build on this. And one cool thing too that just came out in Rome, and that is that they just rolled out the creation of templates within the Rome system. Yes, I recorded this too, so it'll be available. I'm going to put it on my YouTube channel, and I'm going to send it out to everyone. So one cool thing, if you hit semicolon, it now pulls up this templated feature. So I'm going to show you how that would look. So let's say that we wanted to use a template, like we wanted to use, we wanted to use my VSL template to write with. So what I'm going to do is I would come here, I'm going to create a page, and it's going to be called templates slash, I think it was Rome. Is that right? Let me just make sure. This just came out. So yeah. Now, if I go back to here and I hit parentheses twice, I had it backwards. So it's Rome / templates. I see a question. Nick, I'll come back to that in 1 second. Let me go back to this real quick. All right. So I had it backwards. So I need to click in there and change this to, I can get in there. There we go. All right. So you type in Rome, and you do this on the line where you want to, the line above where you want the template to come from. So there it is, Rome / templates, right? So everything under it is now able to be copied, and I'll show you how. Go here, semicolon, there it is, click, and there it is. This is now a full template. So you could say headline, and what I would do, I would come over here and I would just typing in, I would open that up, and anything that I have, anything that I've written up to that point would be here if I had it tagged right. And I could just start dragging those over here, boom, 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 boom. And you could fill out an entire thing. So that's one way to create a whole entire templated section. So I'll probably go through and I'll add that to every template, and you can just copy it. Well, actually in here I won't, because we don't create things in here. But yeah, that is the structure. So Nick, I saw you ask, have I used Rome 42? So I was an early user on Rome 42. Then I started having a lot of problems because it was still being fixed. So I kind of pulled off of it, and I didn't put it in my course because they weren't quite there yet. They were still having some struggles. I know they just pushed out the big update and kind of took it out of beta. So I will be studying it more and trying to see where it's at. I think the smart blocks feature is very, very cool. But I think the problem is you have to almost be a little bit of a programmer to make it do much, because you have to kind of write everything out in sort of like a if then this and that. So it is a little bit much to it. I think it'll get easier as they take on more regular people, because right now it's only been built by programmers. So they have anyone that writes programs, they don't usually think about how would a normal person use this. So they'll say stuff like, oh, well, just type in / apostrophe colon to do code X, and like you're like, where's that even at, right? So that's the one problem I've seen, but I do think they're getting a lot better now. So I will probably play with it and then see what I can do, because I do have I have, like, I think when you join under the 5-year plan, you get 6 graphs with Rome, 3 of which are like on browser and 3 of which are on your computer, so they don't go out. So I'll probably play with one of them on my computer and just kind of see what I can do there. All right. Yeah. So yeah, Nick, don't be concerned. I don't think it's you. I think it's got a lot to be fixed still, but it's come a long way. I'll say that for sure. I do think the templates were the major thing that I was going to reinstall Rome 42 with, but now that it's built in, it makes me not as I don't care as much, because that's the big thing, is the templates. All right. So, any other questions before we wrap up here?
This is Shirley. I don't have, hi, thanks. I don't have any specific questions to this because I'm very new to this, and I messaged you, and I'll let the other people here know that I
Yeah.
have yet to start your course, because I have this sort of, I feel like I'll get sucked into Rome. A friend of mine told me I probably will, in a good way.
Yeah. Yeah, you
And
will.
with that said, I just wanted to share, because I appreciate discussing with you beforehand. So I do technical writing for a client, and I started realizing as I was reviewing what this course is about, that there's a lot that we do where they have members, they're called Electric Power Research Institute. Anyways, they have members that buy their products, and they have people who are marketing folks, but they're not technical folks. And
Yeah.
my skill isn't technical. So I really appreciate the 4 Ps that you had. And I know those, but now I'm thinking, not that I want to edge them out, but I'm starting to think about when we're putting our products online for other people to purchase, like it's written not like this. It's just, because they got an abstract, but even I can see how I could take an abstract and, an outline and use this approach. So, I'm looking forward to this. I don't know how other people are looking, who've joined as well, their approach to using this, but I really appreciate this other way of thinking about writing and how this can infuse into the technical work that I do.
That's awesome. Yeah, I will say this too. I haven't done a lot of technical stuff, but I do know, like, even people that are technical still prefer it if you make it simple, you know, because no one wants to read through and have to be like, when in the process of turn. It's like when you get those instructions to install like a cabinet, and it's like, press the part A into part C, twisting it a quarter turn, and you're like, what are they even saying? And that might just be me, because true story. My wife installs everything in our house, not me. She's like the one that she's like got like a screwdriver and a hammer. She's over there doing all this stuff. And so that's my one bad thing, I guess. Well, I'm sure as I have tons of things that are bad, but that's the one of them that she always makes fun of me for. But yeah, the whole key is the more simple it can be, and those 4 Ps. If you think about it, they're very simple, right? They're almost obvious, but we just don't always think of that in that way because we get told like 20 things, and then we're like, okay, what's the important thing here? What should I focus on? And so for me, those 4 Ps are just like the basics. If you check, I sent out an email a week or two back, and I have 12 of them. So there's 12 P's. If you find that, if you would like that, just email me back and I'll resend it. But I think that's when you want to flesh out a full thing. There's 12 of them, and those are kind of the different parts of a full sales page. So Shirley, thank you for joining us. And yeah, just take some time, get it in the course. You don't have to go through it all in one time. There was a guy who jumped in and he did the whole thing in like a day. I don't know how. He just went through the whole thing. It's like 30 hours of stuff, but he just burned through it all. So I have seen some very good things. I've seen a friend of mine he's in the Copywriter Brain community too. He was able to write a 5,000 word sales page in, he said, 37 minutes, which is crazy. I can't even do that much. I don't know how he pulled it off, but he said that a lot of it was because he kind of wrote as he went, because he was doing the research. He would kind of write down his own thoughts, and then he was able to just pull, he was able to kind of come here and pull things over, and just kind of create it. So I think we're early still, but I think that pretty soon, most people, if you're trying to write copy and you're not, if you're not having some kind of a database that you own, that you pull from, I think you're going to fall behind, because I think that the way things are now, there's freaking robots now that can write, I mean, they're coming for us. So we have to do what we can to stay in front of this stuff. That's one cool thing. I can't say it for sure yet, but I've applied to get access to that. I think it's called like GPT-3, and it's the AI that can write and create. And if I can get access to that, I want to kind of somehow figure out a way to integrate that into the Copywriter Brain program, so that we could technically write, a sentence or two, and it'll spit out an entire page. Yeah, so we'll see, because right now there's a wait list of 10,000 people trying to get on there. So I put it in a few weeks before. My goal would be that ultimately we build it into Rome, so you could pull your stuff and then just punch in something, and then bam, it'll spit out a full-blown sales page. What's crazy, if you pull it up, these things can even write poetry, and they're not bad. I mean, it's pretty. See, well, what they did, they took every page they could possibly find on Wikipedia, encyclopedias, poems, everything, and they dumped it all in to this one big database. And then the AI learns how to copy that and create its own stuff. So I think it's probably got trillions of words. And it made me think, if we feed it with all the sales copy, it wouldn't be that hard for them to recreate it. But I still think that you're going to need people like us to drive that, right? And to be to choose what to feed in, what to keep, what to take out. I think if anything, it'll be a tool. Yeah, let me see. I'm going to do a quick search and see if I can find it. Hang on. I think it's called GPT-3 or something like that. Yeah. So it's GPT-3, and the site is openai.com. So I will grab that link. I'll paste it in here. So this is the future, they say, but we'll see. If you go in there, you can actually see some of the stuff that they've done, which is pretty cool. Um, yeah, so that'll be, yeah, if you go to the page, you'll see, let me pull this over here. This is the site here. So they've got all this stuff that they've done, and they have an API so it can be programmed. I'm on the wait list now. But yeah, it does all sorts of things. And you don't have to be a programmer. Once it's built, you'll see something like this and you'll just type it in. I wonder if there's any examples I could show you guys real fast. I don't think there is right now. Yeah, so yeah. Well, anyway, I mean, I don't want to spend all you guys' time on this, but you go here, check it out. You can see things that it wrote, and it's pretty crazy. Um, the poetry one was the one that I think quite surprised me. Um, all right, so yeah, check it out. Check out the API stuff, and hopefully we'll get that built into our system at some point. All right, well, guys, I want to thank you all for being here. Oh yeah, I see Nicole handwritten copy. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, there is definitely the idea of being able to handwrite stuff goes a long way. One of the things that we used to do in our old company is we actually there's a third party that will actually handwrite for you. So we had it so when a customer would like buy from us, it would be like 3 or 4 days after that we would handwrite them a card and it would be sent out to their house to say thank you, and that was all automated with programming. So all right, Shirley, thank you so much. Thank you all for being here. I'm going to go ahead and we got through it, the first one. So thank you guys so much, and I look forward. Make sure you go into the community, say hi. Again, I'm trying to build that up where we add about 5 or 6 people per day, but not everyone says much. So I'm trying to build that up. So all right, guys, thank you so much, and I'll send out this recording here soon. Bye, guys. See you later.